But I think it's good now. It's good now.
Okay, sweet.
Okay.
Let me check. Which one? It's like he plays like so. This guy also always plays like random characters,
Mhm.
and this time he played Ike. He's like really just. He's one of those people who play every single character and plays them like really well too.
Okay.
Just because he has great fundamentals. I'll share this link. Um,
So, did you want to talk about some of these things before we jump into the lesson, or did you want to do it as we go? I think some of the things we could explain, and then the other ones we could probably maybe would be easier to point out.
as in like the points I wrote down.
Yeah.
Or, it's like I think the second to last one.
Hmm.
Specific, it's like in the match, so that I have it more often where sometimes my opponent just seems to understand how I'm trying to hit them, or at least understand, like, not necessarily what I'm going to do, but just understand which range I'm going to try to play around.
Hmm.
And then they play around that well enough to the point where I feel like I can't hit them at all. And it's hard to explain like why I just feel that way, because I mean they're not invincible. Just yeah,
Okay.
I feel like I can't hit them. So like my only real way of counterplaying that is like erratically like doing a mix up, and then like seeing are they going to react in a way that's punishable for me,
Hmm.
and that's not exactly consistent. So I'm gonna try to point out some of those situations in the match, and then this say yeah, this is what I'm having trouble with, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing wrong here.
Okay. No, that's perfectly fine. That one we can definitely keep for the VOD. But the first one in particular, where you're saying you're having trouble with him doing jumps, is that directly related to the second last point, or is that just an issue you're having in general? Because that one we can definitely talk about like really quick.
I mean, we can talk about it, but it's so yeah, it kind of ties in together, but it's like part of the problem.
Hmm.
But specifically the fact that he's uh, how do I put this? It's different from what I usually. Fuck.
That's okay.
Basically, um, he uses them well enough for me to like never feel like I'm out of pressure. So that's kind of the difference. Where some people like kind of disengage and then like full hop or something,
Hmm.
or full hop without really pressuring me. This guy like is pretty much constantly pressuring me, and that's I think what's has to do with it.
Okay.
And I'm not exactly sure how I can play around it well, because especially with Ike, I need to stand far away if I don't want to get hit by like a landing aerial.
Yeah.
If I stand too close, I have to shield it, and on shield they're pretty safe.
Hmm.
Not like completely, but like safe
Safe
enough
enough.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, safe enough. And then like trying to snipe him out in the air, if I miss or if he hits my pellets while I'm in the air, I just get punished. So it's not exactly in my best interest to try and air to air either.
Hmm.
It's like I don't really see an opportunity to get in, and perhaps it's easier to see what I'm talking about during the match, because yeah, uh,
Okay.
it's just hard for me to counterplay it. Like with different opponents who are like less good than this guy, I usually find like at least one way to counterplay it, and I like punish them for it. But like here, I haven't really been able to. We'll
Okay.
see.
Well, I think this one would be good to talk about. So let's wash through the VOD just like casually while we talk about this, and
Okay.
then we'll go back through it with more like, because like I said, like it's usually good if you're looking for just one thing in VOD review, like look for that one thing. So we'll look through. We'll just talk about it as we go, and if you point it out, we could definitely point it out, or anything else here as well, like the ledge
Yeah.
here as well. But it sounds like this guy is just giving you a problem because you might have a tell. That from what I'm reading here, that's what it looks like to me. You likely have a tell, and that's why he's able to play around it consistently.
That
Because
could
this,
very well be the case. Yeah.
what's that?
That could very well be the case. Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as like the ledge thing is concerned, or sorry, the full hop thing. One thing you have to understand about that, it's very similar to Melee, or it's even in this game, like Ultimate Fox, right? Where Ultimate Fox will just do full hop nair over and over, and it's terrifying. But at the end of the day, he can't cover everything, but at once, and that's the important thing. He probably can cover everything out of his full hop, but he can't cover everything at once, and that's what you kind of have to take advantage of. So what I was
Okay.
gonna ask you when he was doing this full hop stuff was where is he doing the full hop? So it looks like while he's playing you, he's doing it right in front of you. Like, and he's consistently doing it. If we go back here, even all the way over here.
Go back where?
Oh, sorry. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, I was just letting it play. That's so funny. Okay. So I'm about 20 seconds in, but really it's just been you guys like spacing around each other and some of you getting hit, some not. It's nothing crazy yet, but this is what I want to point out is when he's doing his full hops, the sword is like basically right in your face every time. Almost max spacing.
Look at this. This one's good.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. But see, there it is again. There it is again. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think, but like right in front of you.
Yeah.
And then he's doing it over here too, but you can see when he is going for it, this one he hits you with it. Not this one, the one he does right after. He starts drifting in more, right? He's doing it then because you overextend. So he's actually just doing like really good spacing with Nair. It's actually like pretty difficult to do, but he is actually just spacing Nair like really, really good in front of you. But that's the good thing, it's in front of you. So that does allow you to get away in pressure when he's doing these types of Nairs. The Nairs that are hitting you so far, you've only been hit by a couple. But the Nairs that have been hitting you is when you're trying to directly punish him for doing it, if that makes sense. Like in place, like a whiff punish. Versus like a retreating punish. So
there I was expecting a drift backwards, so he did the drift forwards, and I got the single hits.
Exactly. And that's just he's just doing the drift forward because it's a pressure tool, right? The first Nair that he's doing in your face is to like make you scared because he knows it's safe. He knows he's not gonna get punished for it, even if you parry it, because you likely have moves that are too slow with not enough range to get him. So that kind of allows him just to put it in your face over and over. He's actually using Nair properly, where I feel like most players don't. But it just means it's very scary. It's a lot of pressure, but it doesn't mean he can't cover everything, right? If you retreat with that, it's probably what he wants, other than a direct hit, if that makes sense. You lose a bit of stage control, but if he does the Nair, the second Nair, like an autopilot, that will just get hit by pellet. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. If you threaten the dash back enough and he starts double jumping over it, just as much as the same as he can't tell where you're going to be when he tries to do the second Nair. You can't tell if he's going to do the double jump or not either. But if you do hit the double jump, it's way, way worse for you than it is for him to hit the second Nair. So it's much more of a commitment. So it's not to say that him doing the Nair is an auto win, or it's not to say either that it's a bad thing to do for him. It's just a neutral situation that he's kind of forcing over and over, and that's what can make it really annoying, because he can do it at any point as long as he gets the spacing, but that's pretty difficult. Does that make sense, kind of?
So I understood part of it in the sense that it's like, you just force it over and over again.
Mm.
And in a sense that it's not like, I guess not directly threatening, but it's like basically what you said. If I try to go for a direct punish, that's when I usually get hit. And it's like the reward for me, like going for a direct punish, is usually not really worth it compared to the risk he's taking for throwing it out.
I am more often than not, when they're spacing it properly in front of your shield, I would not opt for a direct punish, like a punish like up smash at a shield, or like something like in place, you know? I would probably start moving if they start whiffing right in front of my face, you know?
Okay.
Otherwise, sorry, go
I'll
ahead.
write it down.
Yep. So what I would describe it, if you want to like label this as something like recognizable, this is what I would call like a perfect Nair.
I'm still writing it down. Hold on. Once you're being pressure supposed to hitting. To move as opposed to going for a direct finish. This is because the risk for me is higher than the risk for him to throw out Nairs. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for that. But do you have any questions about that situation? It's pretty straightforward. It's difficult in theory. It's like a scrap situation more than anything.
So should I like move like forward and try to shield it, even though it's not like it's not like, of course there's no direct punish out of shield if he does it well.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that it's there for like not a good situation for me, but it just means like I can't get a direct punish. I mean, I can't get a direct punish out of it, but like giving
Yeah.
him more space is kind of giving him what he wants. I feel like
Yep.
so.
No, I think it is too, especially in this match. I think it's mostly why you lost. So what I would say for that situation is I wouldn't suggest a direct option to beat it or punish it. I think it's one of those situations in the game where you have to just consider your options of what you have, right? Similar to neutral. This is almost like a neutral situation, except if you're wrong, you get hit. But you can hit him too. It's just he's forcing a situation basically. So what I would suggest is don't think of it in terms of like what can I do to counter it. You would think of it as what options do I have, and you have to pick based on what you think he's going to do because he's forcing that on you. It's just a good like high tier move. So yes, you can absolutely do run under shield. I think it's completely valid. I think even walking under would be better for when you think he's going to do the second nair like instantly. But it's not to say he couldn't just like jab right after the first nair also. So that's why like running away is good. You could also just hold shield again, but he could like jab or grab or do another nair and the sequence continues. But they're all perfectly valid options. You would just have to pick based on what you think he's going to do. So from the match, it's like what we talked about in previous sessions, when people are doing this repeating like habits over and over, like Fox Nair, for example. You have to try and keep a mental track based on their habits early on about like what it is that they were doing earlier. So like we could see earlier, like really early on in the set, that this guy was doing those perfect space nairs, but then he just does another one right away, right? So that's your tell in game to kind of decide, okay, I'm gonna walk underneath him and maybe try and parry it or get away and try and do an aerial out of there if you want to take a more defensive route if you think your parries aren't good enough. But those would be your two options to counter what he's doing right now specifically. Right? It's not to say he can't adapt, but you have to show that you can adapt and show counterplay in order to force him to do so. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like if I'm not if he's just getting what he wants out of it over and over again, then like why would he change?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, this is like I was 2 games up on him at this point, so like this was grand finals and I was 2 games up on him and it was like
That's
yeah
rough.
every single game could go to resets. I'm like of course if he just won like his main he would have like won really hard, but like it's still disappointing.
Yeah, of
But
course.
yeah, like I'm just it's just like even if it's like doesn't give me directly a punish, like even just mixing it up slightly makes it so that he has to do something else.
Yep. It's
Okay.
like from his perspective, like you're making it annoying for him because what he wants to do is just play his game like he's doing, right? He wants to put you in the corner. He wants to spam nair because for him, like there's almost no risk in doing it as long as he spaces it. But if you make that difficult for him, now all of a sudden he has to think and hesitate a little more, and you get more opportunities to make your own decisions. So that's just kind of how it is at times.
Direct finish. So by making your opponent wary to repeat the same action. Okay.
So I think that pretty much covers the first point of what you had on Discord.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's anything else you want to talk about this, or do you want to move on?
So I did this a few times in the sets, where I run up and then prompt like what I've been doing here. I've been trying like a little dash attacks and grabs, like try and punish his if he were to hypothetically land to like punish that landing. And I think I could have like done some like dash in, dash away, full hop back air, because again he just kept full hopping, and I feel like I could have at least gotten away with it sometimes. And maybe that, like I wouldn't necessarily say do that at like percents where I don't get a lot out of it, but like maybe at 30% to like rack some damage or late to kill him with it. I feel like that would be I feel like it would be beneficial in those situations, but like that's not really. That's just like an observation I made in the match, or made in hindsight.
Yeah, no, I think that like it's the same thing, right? What we just talked about. So like it probably what could have been based on what you thought was happening, like the he's just full hopping over and over. And if you were able to get that in the match, it probably would have been completely valid. But it's not to say it's something you want to default to as well, right? Because then he could adapt just as much. But for the situation where you know he's going to full hop, yeah, completely valid. It's just you don't know what he's going to do every time, right? You have to kind of keep track of based on the information that you have during the game, which is difficult. Don't get me wrong, but When he's spacing Nair like that, that just kind of has to be like your main focus at the time. Okay.
Yeah, it's always just difficult. It's yeah, it's the Ike matchup, and this guy like he knows how I play, and his best friend slash doubles partner always plays Ike, so like he definitely knows how to play Ike.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on. So we have on several occasions on the ledge, I felt like he almost read my mind and pushes me effortlessly. I'd like to more closely go over my ledge get-ups to see if there's any visible patterns. Definitely can do that because I think, in my opinion, why you lost this game, I know you were talking about it's difficult to print in words, but you couldn't hit him. I think just because you were dealing with Nair like ineffectively, just for that alone, where you felt like you got pressured and had to run away a lot, you got put in the corner, and then he just gets to play that even harder, right? Because the benefit of dealing with this Nair situation is you can move and get space, or move and be threatening to him. But when he's spacing it perfectly and you can't like roll in because you're just gonna get Naired anyway, and you can't full hop because he'll just meet you air to air, it's really tough. So stage control matters a lot versus like just having the ability. It's like when people describe Marth and Fox in Melee, you can't like fish for an option here in the corner because you have nothing to retreat with. All he has to do is cover everything but the one thing you're looking for, right? So, or he's just going to cover it by default is what I should say. But yeah, anyway. So we'll definitely talk about the ledge. I just want to make sure if there's anything else because I think there's probably more we could talk about. So you had a good read on when you would try to retreat, which is, yeah, pretty much what we were just talking about. So dash back, retreating short hop. Because I don't feel like retreating is necessarily a bad option. I agree. It's just my opponent had to horribly overextend for me to punish it. So he'd whiffed hit my shield. It's screwed. So I'd like to point out to me situations I tend to only retreat. We talked about Nair, but we can try and find more. Talk about how to play around the possibility of my opponent overextending to hit me in a way that isn't just holding shield and praying. This we'll come back to, but we can definitely talk about it.
I can give a quick example. There was one match where I started. I don't know if it's this one or not. He just started by doing a dash attack because he wanted to catch my short up, and then I got sent upwards and I tried to land and he made dash attacks again. So he landed 2 dash attacks at the start of the match, and that kind of was to tell for me to like. That kind of was a tell that I was way too predictable in the sense that you don't throw out an Ike dash attack. Like,
yeah. So
I think it's horribly unsafe in Shield.
I said we'll come back to this one because I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I'll give you a situation that what I was going to describe anyway, but just because of the dash attack example, I think it really makes it just like easy, okay? So I'm going to pull up some of my Melee notes here because I think it'll just kind of illustrate it easy. Okay, so can you see this screenshot here of Marth versus Fox?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, when you feel like your opponent is overextending with dash attacks and like grabs or like a certain aerial or anything like that, and you can't get an idea of when they're going to do it, what I suggest to people isn't necessarily camping. It's just I think you need to readjust where you're playing neutral. So what I mean by that, imagine these guys are grounded and imagine this character is Fox, but the distance is really like the main thing I'm looking to explain here.
Okay.
I talk about that situation a lot with Marth players who play versus Sheik. The problem with Marth versus Sheik in Melee is that Sheik has an amazing like out of shield, like just general range, right? Like her forward tilt's very, very fast. Her jab's really quick. Her down tilt is really good for crouch cancel. So you can't get close to Sheik and use your moves with Marth because then you don't get the tipper and then you get hit and die. But the point being, you can't really be close to Sheik because you can't... You'll just like lose the situation basically. It's not in your favor whatsoever. But you also can't be really far away from her either because then she's just going to needle camp you and then you have no projectiles or anything yourself to shoot them back. So you lose that situation too. So what you have to do in these types of situations where you can't be too close, you can't be too far away, and being a little bit anywhere in between kind of makes it awkward because then it's like, well, now I'm just getting dash attacked or something, right? You do have to like sit and figure out first, where do you want to play neutral? So for most matchups for Melee and Marth, with Marth and Melee, it's pretty easy for him because he has a very defined range of like where his forward air reaches in front of him. And then just outside of that, his forward smash will reach that. Or if he overcommits and does like a down tilt, ignore the giant, like don't do this thing here. But it's basically like you have right in front of you, and then you have a little bit of an overextension just outside of that, right? That's most characters in Melee. Sheik is no different. Sheik has all of her tilts right in front of her, and then she has her boost grab, which reaches about here, and she has her dash attack, which reaches right about here, or just in front of Marth. But the point being, most characters in any Smash game have their immediate range and then anything they can do to overextend. In Melee, it's a little bit more scary just because they have dash dance movement. So they can, what happens more often than not is characters will weave in and out in that range. But in Ultimate, it gets a lot more simplified because a dash is much more committal, right? You can't shield during your dash and do that. So throwing those moves out, like you said, is a huge overextension in Ultimate. And what you need to do to bait those out is play at a range where you can put a little bit of pressure on them, or if you can't, you have an advantage situation with movement to kind of weave in and out of this neutral range, so that you can bait them to do a dash attack or a grab and not necessarily be in constant like threat of it, like being up close on Fox, right? Or Sheik in the example. So what I'm trying to say by that is, like, if you're playing neutral and they're dash attacking your short hops over and over, even if the short hop could be well placed for something else, likely what that means is you're not playing neutral at a range that's like effective for that character. So like this short hop, I feel like is perfectly terrifying versus Fox. That's what I'm trying to take note of here, is that this short hop is really bad. I should be more grounded and keep a little bit more distance away from him. But honestly, against Sheik, I don't think it's that bad, because this forward air a little bit closer will beat her forward tilt. If she goes underneath it, I'm above her in the air, and if she tries to grab it, she's going to get hit by the forward air anyway. So it's not as bad versus Sheik, but against Fox, it's really, really bad. So how you can kind of interpret that is, where's the dash attack line? I just want to make sure I'm catching everything in it.
That ties into one of the things I learned with, like, if my opponent can directly punish my short hops, then what I should be doing is I should be playing around the fact that I have it.
Yep.
And if my opponent doesn't immediately punish it, then I get to actually play out the situation with that short hop, so that they have to either constantly cover for it, or they stop covering for it, and I get to play it my way.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it.
Okay, I'll write that down.
So essentially, yeah, you can force. It's like the Ike Nair thing almost, right? If you're playing at a range where you can consistently be forcing something, or you have the ability to weave in and out and kind of make them uncomfortable, that's good enough. That's just neutral, right? But that's usually what's happening when people are overcommitting with moves like dash attack. Dash attacks in Smash, just in general, they're meant as an overshoot, right? They're meant to kind of catch you either coming in right away if the dash attack is startup, so coming in on that neutral range, or you run a little bit further and then you catch them retreating. That's really the only two uses they have. But they're either way, they're massive, massive commitments in both situations, right? They lose to shield, or they lose to a jump or dash back, depending on how you can respond to it. So that's essentially what you're looking to do. It's just to make them uncomfortable and cover it. If they keep getting it, that just means you need to reassess where you're playing.
Make them uncomfortable. Oh, okay, so I have to make them uncomfortable with the... Hold on, I have to make them uncomfortable, and then I kind of forgot the rest. Shit.
You have to make them uncomfortable, and then if it's not working for you, like, let's say you're realizing that, well, I can't do this here because no matter what, they do this, and if they do this, right? And I don't have anything to pressure them, or I don't have anything to kind of stay safe from them. If you don't meet those two criteria, you would have to reassess where you're playing neutral in general versus those characters.
That kind of into what we talked about earlier, in the sense that if it's not, it's like a different situation. That's like with the Nairs. Like if I can't like directly do something about it, then I just have to change it.
Yep.
I just have to make sure that they can't do what they want.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. There's what I like to call it lately is like let's say you're in one of those situations that doesn't work out. I call it like a checkmate or a stalemate, more so than a stalemate. If they're trying to force that situation on you over and over and over, and you're just giving it to them, then you're only going to lose. You're only putting yourself in a bad spot. But if you show to them that you're not going to do it, then it's like a stalemate, and one of you is going to have to change like what's happening at that point, and then you play a different situation, right? Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we talked about the dash attack thing. We talked about the full hop pressure. So we're definitely going to look at the ledge when we get back into it. The retreating thing. We just talked about that. So we have ledge. We have... we talked about this. This is pretty much the answer to this, right? Unless it's
Hold
a
on.
different point.
I gotta zoom in again.
Yep.
So,
Here, I can zoom in for you too.
which the go answer to which?
So I feel like we just talked about this, but I want to give you the opportunity to say it just in case it isn't. So we talked about your opponent has a great idea of when they're going to dash attack. Wait, no.
Wasn't it? It was specific when I was going to retweet.
Yeah. It's something about yeah, here. So this is it though. We talked about this with the Nair thing, right? They have a great read on when I would try to retreat, dash back. We'll talk about it more in general, but like the Nair thing, we talked about that. But you could think of it even as that neutral situation we're describing. If they have a great idea when you're going to retreat and, let's say, do a dash back out of your neutral situation and they're overextending with something like dash attack, that's pretty much what you'd have to do, right? Those two things are directly related. So what we talked about for the dash attack situation. So it's not to say you're shielding and holding shield and praying, right? You have to assess where they're doing it and what you were doing it at the time, right? And kind of make the decision from what we just talked about in terms of like ranges. Was it a huge overcommitment? Was it easy for them to do? That kind of thing.
Right. So say that I let's put that like into let's say that I do like a retreat and then I immediately try to shield to like cover for like a retaliation. I feel like it kind of puts me in a really in a position where I haven't pressured my opponent in the slightest, and that's not necessarily bad. It's just like I feel like there's
What
I feel like it's not exactly optimal, if you get what I mean. Like it's I'm doing a purely defensive option, and that's
you are, and that's because you're anticipating a purely aggressive response, right? And
oh yes,
that's kind of the problem with it is if you're wrong, sometimes you're just wrong, right? But the good thing about it is that you're not getting directly punished for doing that shield. You can let go and sure you give up a little bit of stage positioning, but kind of like what we talked about in other situations, just because someone has stage positioning doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win the match or anything, right? They just might have a little bit more of an easier time. But one dash back into shield is not going to be make or break for you, right?
yeah. I'll write this down real quick, and then I have another question regarding it.
Sure.
The ones immediately lose them. Okay, so this is what I've written down right now. If you anticipate an aggressive option, you could choose a fully defensive option. If you're wrong, this one immediately lose the interaction in the sense that like you lose some space, but like you don't.
That's really it. Yep.
But I feel like this is like there has to be a flip side to this coin, where it's like if I have placed like specifically like a purely aggressive option, and then I choose a fully defensive option, but then like sometimes for example, in neutral, when I just want to mess with my opponent, I just like do a walk up or like a run up and then shield. And I'm not sure what I'm anticipating right there, but I'm just doing it because I feel like it's really difficult to punish.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if that's the right approach. It's just like making my opponent scared.
So I think that it's a little bit of a trap, even though it's not bad. And what I mean by it's a trap to do that is you should not be comfortable in neutral consistently doing like one thing, if that makes sense. So like this is something I'm trying to fix from my play in my notes, because I realized that this is a habit. Is that when I'm playing this range right now, objectively, right, I can agree, even in ultimate, being grounded and not being in shield and just having access to anything to do is way better than being in the air, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the character, of course, but generally speaking. So my problem right now is I'm trying to play this range where I'm able to weave in and out of my opponent's threat range, right? So I could do run up shield, or I could do a dash back shield, or anything in between because it's melee. There's more stuff. But what I'm finding myself doing right now is I'm defaulting to, once I get in this range, I'm going to throw out a forward air here and then play off of what my options are here instead, right? After the forward air. Same thing to what you're describing for the run up shield, right? If you default to doing run up shield, you're limiting yourself to what options come after that, right? Versus if you were to just run up or walk up a little bit in that neutral range, because like I said, this is a neutral range. Both characters have access to the same options, but it's the space between them where both of them can apply pressure or not apply pressure the most. But more likely than not, your neutral range, quote unquote, is the one that you want to be safe and apply the most pressure, if that makes sense, from any given situation. So basically, if you default to run up shield in your neutral position, then you're like, every time you choose to be aggressive or you think you have an opening to do so, then you're limiting yourself to just your out of shield options versus what you would have anything otherwise, right? You would never have access to dash attack or an F tilt or something right away if you do that. So I'm just trying to say the run up shield is a fine thing to do, but it's not something you want to be defaulting to. Just consider it similar to what we talked about with the Nair situation, where there's no direct one answer to it. You have to just consider it as an option, and you have to, what you're really looking for when you're playing these neutral situations is to try and keep in mind what your opponent is doing when you get here, right? And then maybe you could start defaulting, quote unquote, to something if they have a habit and they're not fixing it, right? So if this Fox or this Ike or whoever is consistently full hopping when we're playing in this range, then maybe a shield isn't as bad, right? Because then you can do forward air out of shield. But just as much as it's not bad, a forward air just in general would be just as valid, right? Because that's what you're covering after the run-up shield anyway.
Right.
So
it just depends. Like, it's... So what you're saying is, like, I should only be confining myself to shield if I am expecting an aggressive option.
Yeah, if you have information to show it, right? If it's the beginning of a match, you're never going to have the information unless you know this opponent very, very well and you know for sure. But yeah, in general... yeah, it's a neutral situation, so it can always change, but that's why it's great for neutral, is because you have access to all of your different options. So that's why defaulting in those spots is like really, really bad, and I call it a trap because a lot of people get caught in the defaulting trap.
Okay. Yeah, I got that down.
Okay, cool. So yeah, it's not to say exactly that like holding and shielding and praying when they're running away from you, or when you hold and shield and pray and run up to them kind of thing. It's not to say you're just holding, shielding, and praying. Like, low-key, you kind of are. But it's an informed guess, right? And that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, okay. So we talked about that. We talked about this. So what do you have here? Sometimes I feel like I couldn't hit my opponent at all. It seems like he knew what to expect, never got hit. Okay, so you said we'll point that out. But what I think in these situations, definitely it's still just not playing well enough. I think that's pretty much, like... just a given of the Nair situation, right? Because he's consistently putting pressure on you while being completely safe while doing it. So I get why you feel this way. But I think, yeah, more often than not, this is just like a I feel helpless kind of thing versus like the reality. And it's a very real thing everyone goes through with competition like that. But I think already we've kind of pointed out a couple of things you could have done differently. Yes. But we'll still talk about it in case there's a situation you're not dealing with. So I guess really otherwise is when we watch the VOD back now, we're just going to be looking for habits, ledge play, and anything like this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's restart it. And maybe as we go on, I'll kind of point out how the Nair is affecting you differently. But okay, so get caught with Nair in the corner, got call rolling in, which you can't really do against that. So that gets you dash attack.
The only time I actually got hit by it so far is like when I directly used a move, and I was just like standing still or something. I just didn't.
Yeah. So retreat here. So like this retreat isn't that bad, right? Why is my arrow keys not working? Here. This retreat on the Nair isn't that bad, right? Because it's a back hit of Nair. Like, and you get to go back to center. This isn't perfectly spaced, right? The only thing he has to do is cover it with a dash attack, right? Sure, if he rolls with you, that's it. But again, the dash attack is very committal for him. I think it's not as bad for him because he's doing it out of a landing aerial, right? So all he has to do is do it. If he has the read that you're going to retreat. But again, he has to have that read, right? He can't know exactly what's going to happen after Nair. It's just a really, really good pressure tool.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot here, so I'm like running away and then back in, which is...
Yeah. I was going to say a lot of rolls so far, right? Yeah. Even when you rolled here earlier, right here. Right? Roll in. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And that was, for example, one of those retreats that he just caught with a dash attack.
Yep. But you had tons of time to shield it. I'm not saying you have to shield on reaction, but like, you can run away, shield, play the neutral situation, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, so stuck in the corner. This is bad. It's just not like you're doing anything bad. It's just like it's a bad spot to be. Okay, really big committal full hop.
I should have literally just the grab was a true follow up there, but I didn't.
Yeah. That's such a cool combo.
Yes, it's sometimes just like sometimes I just have that read in the opponents.
Okay, so this is the situation we talked about the Nairs before, right?
Yeah, where I'm just retreating every single time as opposed to like sometimes just mixing up the spacing.
Yep.
We've
And
talked
here,
about it, like,
this
earlier,
grab is
but
it's a whiff punish on the direct Nair, like the perfect spacing one.
yeah.
So not something you can like reliably go for.
The previous Ike I played, like the set before this would fall for that, so I was still kind of in
That makes sense. I think it's like it's one of those things like I attribute that to like Peach in Melee a lot. I guess it could be similar to Peach in this game, but turnips don't interact on shield the same way. But basically when Peach throws a turnip at someone's shield in this game, in Melee, it bounces up and pretty much puts like a wall between you and your opponent. And what a lot of people will try and do is punish Peach for throwing the turnip. You can't really do that. So Peach actually has the ability to kind of come in here. But some Peaches are really bad at dealing with that, right? So why I'm telling you this example is like for this Nair, if the Ike you played before is letting you punish him for doing this Nair that is typically seen to be unpunishable, that's fine. Punish him for it. But just be careful when with moves like this that you know are unpunishable like that on direct hit. Like you can't directly counter punish them for that without some sort of read. Like the Peach turnip example. That the next Peach you play...
I was just way too slow for the punish.
Yeah. But the point that I'm trying to make is, in general, this is a very scary Nair to try and directly whiff punish like that, right?
Yeah.
So don't default to punishing it, is basically what I'm saying. I think just in general, defaulting to certain things like that is it's a very scary trap to fall into. So yeah, anyway, let's see. You have him in the corner here. He just jumps out over your second leg from planting, which makes sense. Probably just not the best time to plant it.
Yeah. I was like, usually people run in, they like shield it, so I'm just always defaulting to grabbing them because like, who would just run in and get hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then someone runs in, like I feel like a dumbass. Here, I felt like chasing him was not exactly the right option because like I'd rather have it set them in center, because if I just chase him, like here I managed to like get a small hit, but like again he's still falling on me. I think he still has double jump, so it's just kind of like he has a lot of mix-ups and he still has that Nair, so I feel like with the angle that he was at, I couldn't really do much more than this.
Yeah, I think chasing here is fine. It's just you're drifting a little full in on him right here. You hit him, but I think if he were to do like a falling Nair, like just fall in on you kind of thing, one, it's a little awkward for him to do Nair at this height kind of thing because he doesn't really get anything off of it. He would probably opt for fair instead. So that's why I don't like the drift in here, because if he does go for fair here, you probably get hit by it, maybe. But I still think you could have done right here just like a regular like full hop, no drift, and it still would have hit him all the same, and you still get the same position. But then you're a little bit less risky, right? And now he's just in the corner, and that's kind of what you get to play from that instead. So I think it's just a matter of if you just didn't drift, it would have been fine. Like you basically would have got this situation instead, right here. And that's pretty much the only difference, right?
Okay.
And then still though, he's on the ledge, and if you didn't commit with dash attack and like full hop fair instantly, you get to play that instead. Does that make sense?
Shame I got it here. Yeah, it does. But also I feel like if I hit like this the weakest hit of forward air back air, it really doesn't do all that much. So drifting in does give me more of a like it actually stands the opponent somewhere, which can help me.
Yep, for sure. No, I understand that. I'm just saying, like, I think the situations are a little different. Like, here, you're doing it a little too late, right? If he starts up that forward air, it's very, very bad for you. But here, it makes sense a little bit more to drift in because there's a much bigger distance between the two of you, right?
Right.
So that it's the same situation where Ike is falling kind of like that, but it's just a matter of distance and drift. I think is really just it. I don't think it's really much more complicated than that. And because if you did get to play the situation here after you hit the forward air, if you didn't commit with dash attack and F tilt or full hop back air here, you just have like a perfect opportunity to like ledge punish or ledge trap Ike, right?
Yeah. I mean, the dash attack wasn't all that bad because if you didn't avoid it, you would have been dead.
Yeah, it just missed. Okay. Okay, good retreat. Okay, yeah. I do think
I mess it up.
I do think you are getting caught with this full hop back here in the corner a lot. Like anticipating that he's gonna do full hop
I was definitely
nair.
doing it a lot. Like,
Yeah. I think specifically in the corner you're getting caught for it, because you got caught for it over here too, right? Where is it? Back up right here. Right here. Boom. Same thing. And then over here. Same thing. See?
it is a habit that a lot of people have, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of also helps me to try it.
Yep. It's the same thing as we talked about for the neutral thing, right? Like the just not defaulting. Let's see if you do it here. Full hop nair.
I was trying to like catch him in one way or the other, and then I proceed to like not kill him here, and now I take a bunch of percent. Like, it's so sad that both those were sour hits, and that he got sent the other way. Like, that was a dumb part.
Yeah.
If he just got sent off stage, it would have been totally fine.
Yep. Because I was gonna say it's actually a fine nair to go for. I think it's something you could do a little more. Because if you do this nair like retreating, also, where is it? Right here. Like here when you do the nair, see how you kind of like still go forward? That's the only reason you got the reverse hitbox. But if you just do the nair and kind of like stop.
And go back, yes.
Yeah. Because you would still hit Ike all the same, right? But then let's say even if he gets able to get his shield up in time when you go for this nair, then you're not directly on top and behind. You have a little bit of space in front of you guys. Does that make sense, right? The only thing he could try and do is up B at a shield, but you would be able to shield by then. And that would be just a massive overcommitment for him. So just like small optimization, but if you space your nairs better in the corner there, it helps a lot. I think worth taking note of, potentially. How do you feel about this double jump here? I'm actually asking because I'm not like you're not getting directly punished for it. It doesn't seem, but it seems like being forced to recover down low like this is rough.
It's really not that bad in the sense that yes, there's like of course he can try to down air, but like in this entire set he hit it once.
Okay.
In all 5 games. So in all, was it 5? Was it? Yeah, it was 5. In all 5 games he hit it exactly once. I'm not positive that it's that bad of a thing. Meanwhile, this, like, if I hit him, I would have immediately been out of the corner, and I really feel like drifting in all the way to throw out a backer would be really risky for him, so I feel like it was just fine, because, like, the alternative is like, oh no, I have to recover low, which, again, he hit it once and he didn't even kill me with it, so...
I could totally see that. I think it's valid, even just not, if not for, like you said, like, he's very likely not to overextend with backer like this. It's kind of awkward for him. So then it's fine. But I was wondering, rather than double jumping here, what if you were to just fall a little bit and then use your side B? Right? And then just go to ledge. Sure, you still have to play the ledge corner just the same. But I think you would be forced to do that either way if you go low with up B, right? I'm just saying I'm worried about the double jump because that forces you to go low and makes your recovery like predictable in that sense. So then you have to use it. But yeah, if he's not punishing it, I guess it's not the end of the world. But I do think the side B, instead of double jumping here, if you were to like go down and use your fishing pole, would that not be good, do you think?
I don't think it would have made much of a difference because by that point he would have definitely already landed right back.
I think it would have mixed up his timings as to like when you're going to snap to ledge at the very least, make it more difficult for him.
I mean, I suppose, but it's still not... I feel like the potential reward here of like getting back to stage immediately, and as opposed to just like getting to ledge, which is like something that he has not, it hasn't been able to prevent me from getting to ledge much. Which is I feel like the reward here is high enough to warrant like a tiny bit more risk and just a tiny less guaranteed reward that I would get. Yeah,
I'm not saying the double jump here is bad for the risk reward of you getting back on stage. I think it's totally fine. I'm just saying as a general mix-up option, maybe something to consider a little bit more.
I do it sometimes, yeah, but here, there's been...
Okay.
a lot of the time when I jump out of the corner,
Mhm.
when I jump from the ledge, I just immediately get like hits, and I don't know what to do about it because like I can drift away and then get hit like that, or I can like not drift at all and like just go straight up, which doesn't get me punished as often, but it's still just very awkward.
The thing is, this is like a huge read for him. Like he can't react to that ledge hop nair just so quickly, right? Maybe he's reacting to this, and that you're drifting full in. But truthfully, this I would consider this up air like a read because it's kind of awkward for him to cover it, right? Like, how does he go from down tilt here to not just punishing like neutral get up, which is what I would assume most people would do against Ike in this situation? Because
Why the fuck would you neutral get it though?
because it's like a really awkward time for Ike doesn't have he has like a problem that like Marth has in melee where it's like Ike doesn't really have consistent hitboxes that Ike doesn't have consistent hitboxes that stay out for a period of time. He usually just has like swings, if that makes sense. So like think like Marth forward air, up air kind of thing. But then like he has a bunch of end like between them. So neutral get up is a lot stronger versus those types of characters because you're able to put up your shield and play from that. Granted, I don't think shielding versus Ike in the corner is good whatsoever, but it at least lets you get on stage and you can play a mix up from there. It's still in his favor. So more often than not, you will still see the roll and the jumps, but people will neutral get up, and that's the purpose of what this down tilt's covering, other than keeping you off the ledge, right?
Yeah.
Because look at when he's doing these down tilts. Sorry, I think I just went ahead a bunch.
I mean, I'm looking, but I just don't see how they're like threatening me.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's not more often. It just doesn't really do much.
I'm just trying to find where you went back to the ledge here.
Again, there I got punished for trying to punish the Nair.
Where's the down tilt thing we were just talking about? Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Okay, right here, right? He starts doing these down tilts really late after you grab the ledge, right? So he's just trying to pressure you to get off the ledge here, but he's not really pressuring anything in front of him. Otherwise, you can get up in between that. So I think he's anticipating that he knows you're not going to do this one, so all he has to cover is jump and roll as like a hard read. So that gets a lot easier. So basically, sorry. What I'm trying to say, I know we went a little bit down a rabbit hole there. What I'm trying to say is when you do jump, I think the jump is a really bad spot to be in versus Ike, and you have very limited options in general. Like you can double jump away and go all the way to the other side of the ledge, like you said. You could air dodge low, which is like really, really rough because he could nair or dash attack it. You could drift in behind him, make it a little awkward for him because he doesn't have consistent moves that'll kill you, right? He has to time it. And I think that's kind of the mix up that you have. It's either go far, go down, or go back to him.
Going down is a bit difficult.
It is
very floaty.
Yep, absolutely, and that's why I would opt to think that this ledge hop, while good because you can get away pretty quick, just directly from the ledge off a jump, is scary otherwise because then you have to deal with the consequences of landing. So more likely than not, when you do go for this jump, you're probably going to be forced to have to play this game where you go over to the other side all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why I think mixing it up is probably a good idea every now and then. Not only mixing up, not going for jump.
Some drifts.
Yeah. But then also you'd have to mix up your drift. But I think more importantly, just try mixing up not jumping in general. Because I think it's one of the weaker options that you have against like, other than like roll. I don't think roll is really that great against him either.
I mean, like, yeah, it isn't, but it's like the main thing about I think what you said about he covers he like threatens one option and only covers another.
Yep.
I feel like that's kind of it. Like I've seen a lot of people like for example run back or like do short with a roll distance, and the second they see anything, they immediately run forward.
Yep.
Or they're just spamming like down to the ledge, and then yeah, that's something. Well, sometimes like right here, but he didn't pressure it at all here. So
yeah, exactly. So it's a different situation, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Same spacing, but just different play.
Maybe that's like the kind of the tell that they should be. It's the same here, like where he is like jumping. think that's not necessarily like him actually trying to hit me. More
Yep.
so just trying to like doing it and then waiting for me to do something.
He's waiting for you to roll here with this jump, right?
But then what am I supposed to, like, I'm in shield, so like if I drop it, then that's like kind of, maybe I could like forward there immediately. Like it's difficult because like dropping shield and like walking forward is like really uncomfortable considering the shield drop frames.
At this time, this is when I would probably opt to jump from ledge when I see these jumps like this, because it's just very, very easy for him, right? It's the same spot. This is the perfect Nair spacing, right? Where I was saying this is when Nair is at its strongest and when it's really, really scary. So this is just like the spot you want to not be against. Like you could even opt for just like, because you landed on stage here, right? You'll be able to grab the ledge again with invincibility. You could even opt for just like jump back, retreating fair, and then try and replay the ledge and try and get a different spot, right?
Fair enough.
Like I said with the neutral situation, sometimes you'll find yourself in spots where you just need to show to them that you're not going to give it to them and play out a stalemate. So this is like a stalemate, right? He's going to keep doing this over and over, but at least you have one option to kind of like be annoying for him and keep racking up damage. So you have to show to him that you're not going to play this situation, basically. Because otherwise, this is terrifying. He covers like everything almost in this one spot.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing like the entire time. Like, it's like threatening to cover shit, and then I do some erratic option.
You give it to him, yeah.
And I suppose that also like kind of answers why I feel like I can't hit him.
You can't do anything.
Yep. Like he's constantly like doing shit, and like it's not. When you look at it, like, when you like know what he's doing, it's not all that threatening. But like when you, like when
you're playing, it's just like a
he's actually like doing everything.
Yep. I'll tell you, it's usually never the case in Smash, but it's definitely like a real feeling.
For fuck's sake! If I hit that forward, I would have been dead.
Yep. Your cover gets landing pretty well though. I like this.
I mean, yeah, because he's a dumbass and he fucking air dodged, but then I fuck up my timing.
But like you could tell he's gonna do like a bad option, right? Because he's taking a ton of damage right now, and you've taken like almost none. After this, he thought he was gonna win.
That was the only downer he hit this entire set, I think.
Yep. But look, you pressured him super hard after that.
Yeah, I fucked that one up. Oh, I need to show the clips, or I need to flex on the previous icon. Oh, it just hurts to see it. how I did the jump there. I need to fucking flex with that one clip where I just for the edge guard him for like 20 seconds straight.
You're catching him on neutral get up a lot too, when he's forced on the ledge.
Like here's the thing, like against Isabel, most people are like, yeah, of course, like you're jumping, but it's super common for them to like actually neutral get up because like attack get up is dog shit, and you can't roll because I have a Lloyd down, so that reduces your options to 2, and if you
68. Oh my god.
Huh?
I just said 68. Like, come on.
Yeah, I may or may not have. I mean, he did have a lot of rage. I'm not sure.
I think maybe DI.
This was because my bracket team and check the one out. I just need to flex it. It's like I've put all the three kills together. They happened like within the span of a minute. Especially like the first one, and the second one was just fucking one trick bullshit. Like here, I get off like a catch that landing, goes to ledge, cool. I catch that, catch it again.
Oh my god.
This is on reaction because like I actually go really shit, so I can do that. Do it again. That's kills. Crazy. Okay, and check this one out. This is just bullshit. He's dead.
Oh my god.
And then third one, like yeah, he was just kind of so yeah, just kind of let it happen.
That's really funny. Yeah. That's really funny.
Yeah. So that was yeah, that's the guy I've been performing really poorly against. But yeah, that was like I had no 3-in-1 match, and I was just like wow. So. Yeah, that's like this is stuff I can do if my opponent like accidentally DIs wrong. It's mainly like DIing up or down is like what helps, but like up allows me to just like full hop and like end the combo with like massive amount of knockback, and then down allows me to check chase. So yeah.
When we talk about these, I feel like we've gone through most of them, right?
Pretty much.
Okay. Well. Did you book for an hour and a half, or did you book for just an hour?
So I was trying to book for an hour and a half, but Metafy only gave me 2 options for like to 2 time slots for like an hour total.
Okay.
So I DM'd you early about it, like, hey, should I just PayPal you the money? And then like,
You know, don't worry about it. If you want another half hour, I'll just give you a half hour for free if you need something.
uh, I mean, we can go over the other vote against this guy's me brawler.
Sure.
Okay. Where's that other replay? It's one of these two. That's it. So I hate the fact that I'm gonna like be a massive nerd about the rules the next time because I'm just gonna look it up because he wants to play on the FD form of Battlefield and I fucking hate that because I'm used to like just playing on regular FD and then he wants to do this and like to play that game I can go to Garrick Mag Monastery FD and like have an extreme advantage.
So
Like,
you say you just don't like the visuals of it?
Not even the visuals. It dead ass has a lower ceiling. Like just programmed
Oh,
in
what?
for no reason. Yeah, that's why I hate FD forms. Like some of them just completely fuck with the game.
Oh, I
Also
didn't
like
know that.
Flat Zone X like
Yeah.
screws to the Z axis.
That one makes
Here
sense.
again, like yeah. And then also fun fact: the Sonic stage with the grass.
You can't
I
see
can place
Snake
my Lloyd
C4. Yeah.
yeah, and I can also place my Lloyd behind it, and it's like shit, and I can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew about that one. I didn't know the Blastos changed though. I thought they were hard coded all be the same.
I mean, yeah, they're supposed to be, but
That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I would totally just like I don't even think it's being a nerd. I think this guy's being a nerd for trying to go for it, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, like a lot of the times here, I still just see like trying to pick an option immediately, even though I'm not directly being threatened. It's like he's not doing the same thing, but like it's the same concept, different execution.
Yeah, pretty
Because of
much.
different character.
Yeah, no, you got it.
And like again, trying to do a lot of grabs, which also doesn't really work. Because like I've gotten into the habit of grabbing a lot because a lot of my opponents like try to shield constantly, but this guy isn't shielding. He's just genuinely like, constantly pressuring.
What I was gonna say too was like this this playstyle he's doing is like almost exactly the same thing as what we're talking about with Ike, right? It's the full hop Nair. That's all he's really fishing for. Otherwise, he has to do something. He did it a second ago, like a hard committal with a dash stack. There it is. Which like you can bait with proper spacing, and then all he's doing is just trying to play the corner game, right? Because you die in the corner here really early with up B.
Yeah, I don't know. It shows that up B because I've played against other me brawlers. Just like for some reason, there's like no mid-level me brawlers and like two really high-level me brawlers here, and both of them use Thrupper always because Thrupper is like down to a Thrupper and you can die at 50. It's fucked up. That's why I always ban tripods against me brawler.
Maybe this guy used to play Smash 4 because this move was broken in Smash 4. That's the only one I would know.
Honestly, maybe, or he's just.
Or
I
it's
don't
just
know.
dumb.
He also chose shot put. I think. Wait, no, he didn't. He chose flash him up and he.
Some people used to love that move though. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, but like, but against Isabel, you don't take shot puts.
But yeah, honestly, this guy plays really similar to the Ike.
He is the Ike.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that actually totally makes sense. Yeah, I was like, this is like the same shit, just different character. Like, but it really is though, right? Like you can see it pretty clear as day.
Yeah, it's like I'm just constantly like feeling pressured and then throwing something out and then.
Yep. And then his moves are just so much easier to kind of whiff punish with. And...
Yeah, and the reason I'm getting hit by it because it's fucking me brawler. His moves have no end lag.
Yep. Same as Ike Nair. It's kind of nonsense. And like dash stack, but dash stack is the exception, right? It's huge commitment for him. So if you're able to play outside that range and kind of weave in and out of it, you can kill him. That was really cool.
That was frame perfect.
that was really, really cool.
Yeah. I tried to be form bragged and then I failed it, and I was like shit. I ended up winning the set, but like it's so soul crushing to like have that frame perfect confirmed. It's just entirely up to you. You fail it, and here I'm just again like committing really hard at ledge because I'm kind of panicking.
One thing though, with this character, I think if you could force him to play this character instead of Ike, this would be awesome. Because like, I do think his recovery is a little better, but his combo weight is awful. And it's not to say that you're gonna get massive combos all the time as Isabel, but one single hit can put him at like 40 or something, right? Like pretty decent percent.
Yes, it's just that like this character actually like has good old like Ike isn't there, but like this character is really fast and beats all of my moves for free.
Thing is though, less range, right? Which I think works better for you ultimately. I
I
suppose
suppose.
I do think genuinely that it might even be
Here, look at this.
scarier.
I bring it back to like the same percent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's really really big, right? I don't think it's as easy against Ike.
Yeah, but I can cheese ice recovery really easily.
Yeah, that's true. Although I don't know, I feel like ledge trapping this guy wouldn't be that bad, right? Because like even like this Lloyd placement is awesome if you didn't commit here to this jump, right? If you didn't commit to this jump, he's stuck here in the corner. What does he have to do to get out of here and threaten you? The only thing he would have is his down B, which it's similar concept as like the dash attack. Massive commit for him. So if you punish him for it, he dies, and if you miss it, then sure you could call it an outplay, but that's the one thing he had. So
yeah. I mean, the main issue with me, brother, is that he has feint jump. So like he has feint jump, a good airspeed, and like that up B. So it's like
yeah, it's
he can
scary.
go up and down a lot, and that's why I feel like this recovery is a lot more difficult to go against than Ike's. Although given this guy is like again, he plays every single character pretty much. So well, I'm not saying like I can't force him to go any character because he'll just pick whatever.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying
I
I think
covers everything.
I think this one would be a good draw for you because like I actually don't think he's playing like any different in this game at all. I think he's same same guy, different suit.
You said.
Yep.
Mm. I mean, we've pretty much gone over the entire replay already, so.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, I don't know. If you have something else, I'm willing, but otherwise we can call it.
That's kind of it. Like,
yeah.
It was fast and expected.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty cookie cutter, right? Like, it's just kind of one of those things. Like, I think it's a discipline thing.
He's throwing a lot of moves, and it's like it's supposed to be threatening, except if I just like, it just kind of gives me the opportunity to like, if I just mess him up and like don't give in to what he wants, and he'll pretty much get messed up, and then.
Yeah, he will be in such a worse spot because you won't be stuck in the corner. Like this whole stock, right? From the first go, you're playing it in the corner because you just have to, right?
Yeah.
But one thing to keep in mind that we didn't really talk about, I think a lot of the stuff we're talking about, like it's true, yeah, just do this and don't do this. It's fine, but it's very difficult while you're playing. I don't want you to get it twisted. Like it's not easy and it requires a lot of discipline. So my suggestion to you, if you're going to be practicing these things, I would definitely say keep in mind that this is something you might want to like have written down in front of you while you're playing to kind of remind you while you're playing more often than not.
My opponents will read it and they're going to use it against me. The people in our region are exactly like that. They will be cunts about it.
So wait, I didn't mean like in person. I meant just like online or something at home. Yeah.
Okay, because this was in person.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. Truthfully though, I don't think this is something that they can use against you, right? It's just smart, like safe play, right? It doesn't get directly punished. So even if they do, like this is like a theory concept more than anything, right? Like it's if they want to like start playing more aggressive because they know you're not going to bite, well then that's what we're talking about. That's kind of what we want. Like they're just going to be overcommitting, and then you get to beat them for it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, that's everything.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess we'll leave things for that unless you have any other questions.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
So,
well,
what's your PayPal so I can like you can just send me your PayPal and I'll like send you $20.
Oh, because were you not able to put it on through Metafy?
Well, as I said, I was trying to go for 1.5 hours, but like we've covered everything in an hour.
Oh,
but like, I was going for trying to go for 1.5, and it only showed 2 time slots, so like I couldn't.
Yeah, no, honestly, don't worry about it. We're at an hour and 4 minutes, so it's totally cool. You don't have to give me another 30 or anything. But yeah.
Okay, so then 20, and then
just the Metafy thing, and that's just for the hour. That's totally fine. All right.
I mean, if you have a PayPal, it's easier. But like, if you want to do via Metafy, do via Metafy.
I can do PayPal, sure. We can do that.
Cool.
Cool. I will send you the recording. I'll get this up ASAP, and I don't know. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye.